We are live, coming here with a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor, and tonight we are joined by my buddy, Alex. Alex, how you doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
And just us two tonight. Just us two tonight. Andy's on. I don't know where Andy is. Where is Andy?
I think they're doing Kara and Paulie round 2.
Kara and Paulie round 2. I mean, Andy just bailing. Me and my pal Alex, we're all in. And we're here, episode 6 recap show. I'm fired up. Another, I'd probably say, Maso Menos episode. I think the daily was kind of weak a little bit. I still don't know if I understand the rules, even though I heard it about 5 times. And then the elimination, I kind of wish it was pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. But Alex, what are your initial thoughts?
I thought this was just like a solid episode. I don't think it was anything that, we're going to rewatch several times. I don't think it was the best episode of the season, but it was definitely entertaining. I don't think this was a bad episode. All parts of it, the daily, the drama, the elimination had good things about it. They weren't maybe like A pluses, but they were all at worst maybe a B. And I feel like you add that all up and you get maybe a B plus episode. And I feel like this season we've gotten a lot of A minus, A plus episodes. And I just this was a solid episode to kind of keep the momentum of the season going.
No, absolutely. Already see a few of you guys in the chat. Tommy Tsunami, welcome back. Mikey the Doctor, I know you're always there, but love to see you guys there. So let's just dive right into the episode right at the start. And guess what's back? The streak. I know your streak, Alex.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that? We're back.
So Nia, are we at 2 now?
Back to back. Call you great.
Nehemiah and Tina. So we'll see if we go for a little 3-peat next week, a la Chiefs next year.
Whoa. That's a Chiefs prediction coming from you right now? I thought you were big on the Colts though. I thought you were a big Colts guy. I think you're like one of the leaders of Camp Ballard, right? I think you've been saying, that what's his name? Mo Alley Cox looks like the next Randy Moss, and Alec Pierce looks like the new Julian Edelman. I thought you've been on record saying that.
No, I like quarterbacks who can complete at least 52% of their passes, not 50.
God. All right. So the streak is back. And I think the first thing that kind of happens in the house, I mean, you see a little of the love is in the air. You start seeing a lot of the relationships. And then we start seeing the first Devin, Michelle, their relationship. And Bananas is, what is Bananas doing? Kind of stirring the pot a little bit. This isn't the part where he kind of breaks it to Michelle, but you can kind of hear Bananas during this time being like, I think I got to protect Michelle here, which is, I mean, this is all it is, just him stirring the pot. I mean, it's completely unnecessary, but bananas be bananas,
Yeah, definitely some foreshadowing, some stirring the pot. And I think this might have been after they had the little scene where Ginny was talking to her team and kind of frustrated with her team, feeling like nobody has her back. Because I think it was Ginny was the one that Bananas was talking to about Devin and Michelle. And so it all kind of led to Bananas just being I think Devin is using Michelle. This obviously wasn't directly to Michelle. But yeah, definitely kind of planting the seeds for some stuff to come up later in the episode. I'm trying to think of, I feel like all the stuff before the challenge was stuff like this, right? Stuff kind of scheming, talking to other people. This was one of them. There's a couple other sort of duos or conversations that they showed pretty quickly.
Well, what was that? What are you asking?
I'm asking what else happened before the challenge.
I really don't think much of anything. I think it was just a lot of filler time. I felt like especially during this time, we literally went to the daily and we had 2 commercials during the daily, and we'll go right into the daily now. I feel like it was a pretty basic daily that didn't need 2 commercial breaks in between. I mean, all it really was, correct me if I'm wrong, they're just picking up the most balloons and raising the thing and answering the puzzle, right? I still don't understand. Like, I don't get it. I still don't
There's
get it.
this
Like, why do you need more balloons?
there's definitely I thought the daily was smirky, but there's definitely some nits to pick with it.
Yeah,
Like, mainly being how the fuck did they decide a winner?
yes. So like, I just don't get it. Like, I'm really confused. Is it because bananas like they popped a balloon, so there's more balloons on one side? So you had, let's just say you got to get 10 balloons total. Let's say bananas had 9 balloons, and then the other team had 10 balloons. So like, because they got all 10 balloons quicker, or I guess they got all 10 balloons, whatever that ratio is, or like, I don't understand. Like, what it needs to be is first team to get, they should have just had 1,000 balloons out there. First team to grab 10 balloons to raise the thing, first one done wins. Like, the bullshit of one team finishes, another team finishes, oh, we don't know who won. And then the team that comes 10 minutes later wins. It's like, what are we doing?
Wait, so was there a certain number of balloons that it took to like raise the little riddle thing?
No, I don't think there was. I
Okay.
think yes, there was, but there wasn't at the same time because I felt like the team that won, Era 4, they had the most balloons on it. So there was definitely more than Bananas team. So it
Well,
wasn't like,
yeah, I mean the there's clearly two factors here. It's like the time that it took you to do it and the number of balloons that were on the thing. And judging off the fact that Era 4 was like third time wise, the most important thing must have been the number of balloons. Like Era 4 must have had more balloons than Era 2 or 3, but like they got smoked time wise. And I
right.
feel like usually we see this in dailies where this isn't like the first time we've ever had, you're scored on the number of things, but then the time is a tiebreaker. But I feel like it's usually in a much more, it's like a smaller, like smaller sample size that you're working with. So it's like maybe you start with like 5 blocks as a team that you're trying to move across the thing, and then you drop some, and then maybe some teams end up with 3 or 4, and then if there's a tie, it's like whoever gets there first is
Yeah.
the winner. This one was just like a weird thing because I feel like they started with so many balloons, and the balloons were like hard to keep track of. They were popping, and you get into a situation where they cut to the end of the daily, and it's like Era 2 and Era 3 are racing for time, and Era 3 gets it first, and then
Hmm.
Era 4 comes in like 10 minutes later, and they're like clearly not even close time wise, but they just happen to have I don't know if it's 10 more balloons. It might have been one more balloon. Like
Yeah.
we don't know, and it was just kind of a weird yin and yang there.
Well, at least tell us beforehand. Like, if you pop, like, what they should have said was this, just straight up. If you pop a balloon, if there's 15 total balloons, if you pop a balloon, you get a 2 minutes increase to your time. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's
yeah,
what they should have done. First one to get all 15 balloons. If you get 13 balloons, then you get a 4-minute penalty. The end. Like,
yeah.
I,
Or
I
just
I don't
like
think that's that hard. But like, what's the ratio? I felt like they were just like, and this becomes, and I think you know where I'm going with this, is like BME is just sitting there like, it's been like 25 minutes now. This team hasn't finished. If you pop one balloon, we're just gonna say that's an hour off your time. We want Era 4 to win.
yeah.
Like, I feel like they're just making up the rules.
It's absurd. Or like make it like just tell every team, hey, there's 50 balloons per team, and there's a 30-minute window. Like there's that after 30 minutes, TJ's blowing his horn. Whoever has the most balloons wins.
Correct.
Like they just always have to do something to just outthink themselves and make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like I'm not saying Era 4 shouldn't have won the daily, but it shouldn't have been like as viewers a thing where we see Era 4 kind of waltz in as the third place team and then they're suddenly winners. Like that should not be the experience that we get watching this.
No. One thing I want to bring up during this daily, and later on in the episode as well throughout, but Derek breaking his leg. I mean, I'm sorry. I was laughing during. I mean, he was like, "I broke my leg. I broke my leg. I broke my leg." Cuts like 45 minutes. He's at the bar completely fine. No crutches, no anything. I'm
What
like,
a
what is
recovery
going
time by Derek.
on? I mean, only one person has broken their leg on the challenge, and that person won the fucking thing.
They had that playing on on Pluto the other day, and I watched like the start of that Dirty 30 final. Just
God,
incredible.
that can you imagine? Like, I know we bring this up all the time, but the Dirty 30 final, like Jordan's just like, all right, here we go, we're skydiving, and he breaks his fucking leg. Like, I mean, come on, like,
He won a final on 2 limbs.
God, you love that line. I mean, it's just insane. But yes, this challenge, as I like to call Balloon Fest, was just I don't know.
So if the ending wasn't as weird, would you have liked it anymore? Like the daily?
I mean, it was all right. It wasn't anything crazy. It was. Here's the thing. I like it easy where, and I know we brought it up earlier. We know who the winner is right away. Like the fact that we're sitting around, and I saw it in the chat already. It's like, oh, this was the closest challenge. Like it's out of our like knowledge. Like anything could have happened during that time, and we have no idea. At least in a race from point A to point B, you know exactly who wins during that
Yeah.
time. When you throw this little thing in there, it's just like it becomes more confusing on who won. And I feel like that's what ruined this challenge for me, this daily.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean the ending was stupid. I did kind of smirk at them like carrying the big balloons and getting on the ground and crawling with it. I think what I liked about it was that like this was a classic challenge where especially when you're working in teams and it's just like frustrating more than anything and like the balloon pops and it gets you so mad and I feel like this is like a rare one where I feel like a lot of times in a daily, sometimes you might get frustrated because like you're carrying something and something falls off and you have to like restack the blocks or whatever. But this is like a balloon popping is so instant and it's like you obviously can't take it back and you can do whatever you want. But we saw like the gusts of winds that were like popping the balloon. And
Yes.
so it was kind of funny just like watching them be so careful and like move so slowly with it and then like something happens and it just pops and like there's no getting it back. We saw Air One just fall apart with it and they were just like just kidding. Just like it's just like that classic like even in like normal day life when like something happens and it's just like you're just pissed but like you can't help but like laugh at it and you just kind of like throw your arms up in the air and say like what the fuck am I supposed to do? The balloon popped.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. And I don't know if this is just a common thread of the season. Is this not a Mario Party minigame? Like, I'm almost positive it is.
Balloons popping is so Mario Party y.
Like, I'm picturing like BME just sitting like in their little headquarters, and some kids like one of the BME producers are just playing like the Nintendo Switch version of Mario Party, and the dad's like over mom's over the shoulder just watching like I kind of like that for the challenge. Let's let's make sure it's in next season. Like I'm almost positive that's a Mario Party game.
Yeah, it was, and it and was last week. Last week was the moving the
The
furniture.
blocks, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next? The
Wait,
the sleeper game? Like
what was the daily last week? What were
the
they
daily
moving?
was bringing that giant piece. Like, you know, they were
Oh,
carrying
it was
like
like a Y shaped. Yeah,
yeah, and it's like the Mario Party game where you're going up and then you're going down and you can sabotage and Laurel sabotage.
yeah.
Like
I'm thinking of the. I think it's one of the early Mario Party games. It might have been Mario Party 2, my favorite. The battle mini game where it's like you're in a little race car and you have spikes on the front and a balloon on the back, and you're trying to spike everybody else's balloon, but you move so slowly that sometimes you just go like that and then you turn into a spike and you're done. That was
God.
kind of like what this daily was like.
So like that Mario Party game, what I bulge at, especially when you're all together, not online, um, when you look over to somebody and you try to like make an alliance with somebody, and then there's always that one moment where you don't mean to do it, and then you just hit their balloon, and then the alliance is just completely off.
Or when you make an alliance, but then like it starts and you just stay there and you let the other person go
Dude,
to the middle and take all the hits for you.
that's like the one where you're rolling the balls, like you know when you're like you just let the other people hit each other and you're just
You're
standing
like
there.
on top of the little ice cap.
Yes, exactly. All right, back on the tracks. Era 4 with the asterisk victory. Era 1, like we said, just a shit show. Like, I mean, they are bad. And I know before the season started, we talked about how bad they were going to be, but they're bad. And without CT now, it ain't good.
Era 1 is terrible. I will say, though, just jumping ahead a little bit, knowing the results of the elimination, we know what's going to happen next week, right?
Dot dot dot.
Era 1's probably going to win the daily.
Oh, because they're gonna rig it.
They're gonna what next week or maybe the week after, but like at some point they're gonna do something where Era 1 wins. And like I would have said that last week just from a number standpoint, but I feel like at this point Era 1 is just like they're so far gone that it doesn't matter. But I think they're gonna try to make Era 1 win just for like a curveball. Because I feel like so much of the drama so far has been like Era 2, 3, 4, who's working with who within those three teams. And like at some point, Era 1 is gonna get a dub on like some fluky thing. And then like those three eras are gonna like have to like duke it out. Like I just feel like Era 1 is due for like a random win that like won't last. They won't win a couple or like two in a row or anything, but like I do feel like they're due.
I agree. I think they're gonna rig it. I see some people in the chat already. Tommy Tsunami thinks that's a hot take. I'm very curious on his opinion. Because I don't think that's a hot take. The numbers are too small. Like, you need to keep them in the game.
Yeah.
Mikey the doctor makes a good point though. Height challenge, Darrell in it. Like, I do see that. But I don't know. I could see some
It
question
could be
marks.
something where it's like because it is a heights challenge and we saw Darrell freaking out about it. It could be something where it's like average time per person and they just don't include Darrell because he quits or something. Like I don't know. It could be something like that.
I don't hate that. They do that a lot where it's like 4 versus, 12 now. Very hidden block-esque, like last plays. Got to give them like a
Coin.
reward.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
And,
exactly.
and they're gonna have the classic like pre-challenge like team scheming, and it's gonna be like it's only gonna show 2, 3, and 4, and they're gonna be like, what do we do if we win? What do we do if we lose? Blah blah blah. And then Era 1's gonna win, and they're gonna cut to all the confessionals, and it's just be like, oh fuck, what do we do now? Like, what alliances can we make now? And it'll last for like one episode, and it'll be a fun change of pace.
You think it's gonna be a fluky win or a fluky win?
Probably a Doug fluky.
Okay, sounds good. So, like we said, Era 4 picked up the dub. Era 1 in last, and then Josh and Jenny. Which, how the hell are these guys in yours? Island of Misfit Toys, leading the pack for Era 4, and yeah, then we go into deliberation right away. I felt like the deliberation part to the elimination, there was a lot more in that gap than we typically see. But Josh and Jenny in charge, deliberation happens. So are they going to vote in Bananas and Laurel, or are they going to vote in John A. and Corey? They basically, I mean, let's be real. There's one easy vote here, and it's Bananas and Laurel. I mean, this vote a 2-year-old can do.
I mean, that's certainly how they started by playing it out, like in the confessionals and everything. And it was basically, you have to vote for Bananas and Laurel. They're two of the biggest threats in the house, and the other team that you're not voting for, Era 3, is like the era that you're most closely aligned with if you're Era 4.
Correct.
And they even showed like the shot of Josh and Ginny in the bedroom being like, we don't want this to be just our decision. We want this to be an Era 4 decision. So it's like, all right, even more reason to save your friends in Era 3 and like vote in Era 2. And last episode, Laurel was like making challengers cry. Like the whole house was against her.
Yeah. I mean, there has been finesses in challenge history. Bananas getting at it tonight is up there as one of the best. Like him attached to Laurel. Josh is like literally threw him in last season, and he used Challenge USA 2 as his best argument. Are you kidding me? That's not even a season.
So let's talk about the deliberation, how it went down, because I feel like this was
Yes,
This
Mikey,
is
very.
Bananas being the puppet master, but I feel like it was very smart by Bananas. And I mean, it's not surprising he's done 35 seasons or something. Um, but like he didn't go in there begging for his life. And I tweeted about this because this like isn't a common like this format is very rare in that like it literally puts two teams in there that like one of them is getting voted in, the other one isn't. You don't see that a lot. Like usually it's like picked from this cast of like a dozen people. And Bananas like doesn't find himself in this situation very often where it's like either I'm going in or like I can talk my way out of and like get you to vote this other team in. Bananas isn't in that scenario a lot. He is in that scenario tonight and he just kind of like he knows who Josh is. He knows he's an emotional guy who like still feels like he did Bananas wrong on USA and he doesn't say like, you know, you really need to do this for me to like so we can be friends and like you owe me. He just kind of says like, hey, not too many times in the challenge can you like, redeem your like mistakes and like, do right by your wrongs. And this is like an opportunity to do that. And like you kind of screwed me over last time. You said you wouldn't vote me in. You can like make up for it right now and do that. And he doesn't like do a whole lot of talking after that. And there's just like classic Bananas. I don't think Laurel even talked in the deliberation, did she?
No, I think Laurel, smartest thing she could do is not say a word,
Yeah,
and that's what happened.
yeah.
Uh,
And it's not even like Corey and John A. They're two veterans. Like I don't feel like either one of them like dug their own grave or said like too much or said something they shouldn't have. It was just like Bananas knew what he was doing.
yeah, I mean, Bananas played that card, and it was so perfect. It really was, and it's just so funny how it's the Challenge USA. Like, it's nobody cares. Like, it's not a real season, and he played that card, and it got Josh. Like, that was friend of the program, Josh, but that was a stupid move. Like, what are we doing? If you got to throw in, if Bananas and Laurel are final together, like they're probably going to be either one or two, no doubt. There's only one person that can beat Bananas in a final. So I just don't get it. And it's funny. I think Michelle put it the best. It's the same shit every season. Somebody has an opportunity to throw Bananas in, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." And then when the moment comes, I'm scared, and they just don't do it.
It
Like
was like,
time and time again.
yeah, I mean, this was definitely the best pair that Bananas could have asked for in Era 4 to win. Because like Josh and Ginny, he's like both close with. Like if that is like, Casey and Kyland, like they're probably going for Bananas.
Mhm.
And not that that's like it's just like something that everybody should be thinking about. Like when you're voting in targets, not only are you voting in people that might go home, you're voting in people who might be making the decision on who is in the elimination.
Correct.
And like Ginny, they started, like getting mad at her team, and now like she is the only one on her team besides Josh that like has any power. So like good for her.
I'll say this. I think it was harder for Jenny. I see Jenny's side way more than Josh's side. I mean, Jenny's only alliance is really Bananas. And I
Yeah.
don't even know if you were to put up Bananas female alliances, where would you put Jenny right now? 2? 3? Like, do you think Tori is above?
No, I would say Ginny might be like right behind Laurel.
Okay. So like 2.
Yeah. And like the biggest alliance outside of his era. Just because in that case it helps that she's not tied in with anybody. Like Bananas and Tori are probably gonna try to watch out for each other, but like Tori is so tied in with the Devons and Casey's and Josh's of the world that like Bananas can only do so much. Whereas like Ginny doesn't have anybody besides Bananas, so Bananas knows that she's always gonna have his back over
Correct.
anybody else's.
Correct. So I just found that interesting. Like, and I think that was pretty strategic of Bananas too, to kind of not round up the rookies, but round up what's her name? Jenny. Like, I think Jenny's a really strong competitor. Didn't look that great during the elimination a couple weeks ago, but like, you
Yeah.
know, something to just, keep an eye on. So the whole debate between Corey, John A, and then Bananas and Laurel. This is the first time that a team has told them, "Hey, like I'm voting you in," before we get down to what is it, the killing floor, the elimination floor, whatever it's called these days. Um, so Josh and Jenny tell Corey and John A that they're going down.
Hmm.
Um, obviously, Corey's pissed. Um, and Corey has a right to be. Like, I mean, like he says it every year. Like, you do not want to see him in a final, and what are you doing? So then we go after that. We kind of go to the club. Kind of a long club scene, but I feel like not that much happened. Um,
I agree.
but the one shining moment, uh, and I have to laugh during this whole Bananas, Dev, and Michelle thing. Bananas stirring the pot. Surely he doesn't do that. Uh, with the whole Devin and Michelle relationship, basically saying like he's using you or whatever. Just what was the word that he said? He didn't say tread lightly, but I know somebody else famously said tread lightly. But what did he actually say?
I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what words he used.
Yeah. Essentially, he says something, and then probably my favorite part of the episode is where like it cuts to a confessional of Michelle, and Michelle's like, "Yeah, Bananas told me this, so like obviously I got to talk to Devin." And all fireworks started to happen, all chaos started to happen, and it cuts, and it's like she tells Devin, and then they go to bed. It was it. I was like, "Wait, where's the fireworks?"
That was such a great call. That was so stupid. Because I think they had maybe come back right from commercial right before that happened. And so I was up making a drink, kind of half paying attention as the challenge was coming back. And I hear Michelle like cut to confessional and she's like, and then there's fireworks. And I like instantly like put my drink down, run back to the TV to make sure I see it. And it's just them talking in the room. And I'm like still watching it just to make sure I don't miss anything. And then instantly they cut to the next morning. And it's like, all right, that's it. And they cut to Bananas and Devin like the next morning talking about it, but like fireworks, I mean, that's not fireworks.
Yeah. Um, I just feel like, do you think Devin's using Michelle? I'm curious of your opinion of that.
That's a good question. I actually hadn't thought about this. I hmm.
No, you don't think so? Chat. What do you guys think? Tommy, Mikey, Dabu.
I
What do
guess
you all think?
I think it's both.
Okay.
Like I think Devin knows Michelle is a good player. She's a connected player. She's a very like socially strong, politically strong player. And if she wasn't, I don't think this would happen. But I do think like I don't know, Devin's in his mid 30s. He's not engaged or married or anything like that. And he's hooked up with a couple people on the challenge. I think Camilla was one of them. Um, and I think like he probably was interested in Michelle. I mean, she is bad and she's like a cool girl to be around, I'm sure. So I'm sure he was interested in her, but like if he thought Michelle would have been gone episode 1, I don't know if he ever lays eyes on her.
Hmm. Interesting. It looks like from the chat, they're still together as a couple right now. Uh, they might be the longest challenge couple, which is Zach and Jenna, right?
Is it them or Carr and Pauly?
I don't know. We gotta get our challenge historian on that, and then
Or is
Cam
it
and
Leroy
Leroy.
and Cam?
Yeah, that one's up there too. So we'll get into that.
I
So
think we talked about this on one of the recaps this season.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you think about Devin and Michelle?
What do I think about what Devin and Michelle? I feel like I don't know. I just feel like Michelle just hangs out with the wrong people. That's just my opinion. Her game has always been like that. Like I don't know. She's not even like I'm trying to word it correctly. Like she's not even like part of that challenge alliance. She's part of like the Big Brother slash Survivor alliance, and she's always been on like the other side for me for everything. And then Devin's like, I would think he's more on the Big Brother side because he was Are You the One, right? He was Are You the One,
Yeah.
and he's not on the challenge side. So those two, like, I don't like Devin. She's I don't know, not a friend.
Okay, so you don't like it.
No, I don't know. I mean, good for them, sure.
It's like also them being in a relationship is like the least surprising thing. You know what I mean? Like if you would have told me Michelle like was in the Devin, Casey, Fessy, Tori alliance, like I would have been like that makes sense.
I feel like and this might sound bad, like that entire alliance just dates each other. It just feels like I could
Oh
just see
yeah.
them I could just see them switching off like week by week. Hey, let me hook up with you. Hey, let me hook up with you. Like Fezzi, that fucking prick from the University of Tennessee. Like I feel like he just is all over the place. He's probably smashing Casey. Like it's just I don't know. That's just me. Tennessee.
Don't forget Anissa's in
Chattanooga.
there too.
Who?
Anissa.
Didn't Anissa hook up with Fezzi?
Oh god.
Corey was one, but I thought Fezzi too.
I think they said I think they said on No Quitters that Anissa hooked up with Corey, and the guys over there on No Quitters said that Corey need to get sprayed down with the hose.
That's terrible. I mean, Corey's hooked up with everybody.
That's true. Did you know Corey had 3 little girls now?
Yeah, he had one with the teen mom, Cheyenne, right? And then 2 with the other girl, right?
I thought it was just one with the other girl.
No, it's 2. I knew it was 2.
So he has 3 daughters.
Cheyenne's almost old enough to be on the challenge these days.
You mean Ryder?
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, Ryder. Ryder's like 10. I mean, what was the girl from Savant? What was her name?
Cheyenne?
No, what's her fucking name? She was like 18 on the fucking challenge back in the day.
Oh, Svetlana.
So yes, her. Yes, like I mean, like
She was 18.
that's bananas, and not Johnny. Um, when are we getting like a true bloodlines of kids, dude? That's what they need. Listen up, MTV. Here's your idea right now, and I think we said something about it last week. The challenge bloodlines 2, but it's with kids and it's on Nickelodeon. And then you have the slime and everything like that. It's
Well,
like
no,
it's like I don't know if you guys remember the show like Global Guts and Guts growing up or Legends of the Hidden Temple. Do you remember those shows? Or am
yeah.
I the only one? Like it's essentially that. Run that back with challenge kids. Who says no? Throw that on Nickelodeon. It would do numbers. Bring it back.
So Trev, I think you do both. I think you have the Nickelodeon broadcast of the same exact challenge season, but then you have a normal challenge season that we watch on MTV every Wednesday.
Yes.
And the other one, it's kind of like the isn't it like the NFL wild card always has a game where it's like they have one broadcast that's like the Nickelodeon crew, but you can
Yes.
still watch it on like regular CBS or whatever.
See, I think it would be funnier if it was just like a challenge season on Nickelodeon. It's like for like the like the eating challenges, it'd be like vegetables. It would be like hilarious. The drinks would be like what's something as a kid that you absolutely hate? Like sparkling water or something like that. Oh, and then cut to like the confessional. Oh, this my tummy hurts for the sparkling.
I'm picturing like 2 little kids like doing an Oklahoma drill and like full football pads.
Mikey the doctor writes, would Bananas be forced to adopt a kid? I think he would. I think he would. Oh, that's good. That's good. But Nickelodeon, please steal that idea from us. I think that'd be incredible.
Yeah,
But
you're welcome.
I also do like the double broadcast of like completely a different host too. It's like the kids like it'd be like Casey would be like sliding on your screen, saying the rules all over again, and it has like a little lower third, like the rules of this game are this, this, and this. Like I'm all in.
I think we can do it.
God, I'm just picturing too, like, like all that mud tonight is just like slime. They're just
Fine.
burning through slime. Yes. God. All right. Let's get the train back on the tracks. Um, Anything else about Devin and Michelle?
So where did they kind of leave it at? Because they talked like in their little gym that they had. Michelle came up to Bananas the next day. I thought I almost spit out my drink when Bananas said, what was the exact way he said it was like, why do you need to bring me into this? When he is literally the one who started it all.
Yes, I know. But even before that clip of when Michelle talked to Bananas, when it was Michelle talk or was Bananas talking to Devin in that living room area, who was in the window? Did you
Oh
see
yeah.
that? There was some person. I had no idea who it was. They were just like sitting in the window. I was confused.
Someone was like sitting in, what is it, like probably 2 feet wide, like their
Yes.
little windowsill to look over to the like middle of the building, and you could see like their knees. You couldn't see their head. It was
Yes.
like cut off kind of at like their like midsection, and they were just like kind of folded in there, just like watching the whole thing, and you could never see who it was. I thought it was. You thought it was Aviv, right?
I mean, that window was so small. How can you fit a body through that?
Well, they cut to one of the shots in that same exact discussion. Um, the person who was like they had gotten off the window and was like on their knees, like going through a bag or something, was Laurel. But I
Mm.
don't know if Laurel could fit in there.
I just thought it was so weird. It was they were like cutting like into like it was like a serious conversation, and then you just
It
see
was like an
somebody's head.
overhead shot, and you just see like knees.
Yes, I know. I was like, wait a minute. I had to do, and then they cut back to it again. I was like, wait, what is going on? So thought that was interesting. Elimination time.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we go to the elimination, and I know we were texting each other. We were kind of hoping that Josh and Jenny would do the old switcheroo and throw in Bananas and Laurel, throwing kind of changing the game up, but they didn't. Corey and John A go in, and we have a little game of throwing balls at spears. So I thought it was kind of funny how the daily was all about not popping a balloon, and now we're all about trying to get it popped essentially.
Good
So thought
point.
that yeah, thank you. So what did we think about this elimination before we talk about each person?
Uh, I liked it. I mean, I like that. So here's the thing. I like that this was the first elimination we've had since the Era Invitational where it was like head to head. Every single one we've had so far has been a little, potentially rigged. The audience is helping, like all of these things where it's like I'm doing my puzzle or whatever it is on this side, you're doing it on your side. Whoever does better wins, and production and the audience can just interfere so much more. This was like head to head. We're doing it against each other at the same time. There's no way anybody can kind of get in the way. So I definitely appreciated that aspect that we finally got something like that. Um, the elimination itself was, I thought it was just like classic kind of challenge post season 30 esque era. Um, it wasn't. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought I liked how there was some strategy in terms of defense, offense, getting rid of the balls, all that. And I mean, they were seemed like they were pretty close matchups, but like this isn't one where like it's gonna make the Hall of Fame real just because this elimination.
You know what I was thinking about when I saw this elimination? And you kind of hit the nail on the head. It was an all right elimination. It wasn't great by any means. It wasn't bad by any means. It was all right. It was something different. What I think they should have done this season, and I'm curious of the chat's opinion. I'm curious of your opinion. During the first elimination, so episode 2, when we had 8 eliminations in one day, we had 4 different eliminations. Those 4 eliminations should have just been the eliminations for this season. What they should have done was either the team voted in or the team in last place picks what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think that would have been awesome. So it's like, if Corey and John A go in, Corey's like, I'm feeling a pole wrestle. And if John A goes in and she's like, I'm feeling a hall brawl or whatever, or I'm feeling the not so fast. Like you could set all 4 up just constantly, like, and just leave it up. You can leave it overnight and you're not changing anything. Like, what would you like that? I know it's the same 4 eliminations, so you're not getting a variety, but it's like, I love those 4 eliminations.
Yeah, I definitely would like that, and I think that adds even more drama to it. Because like tonight, you would see Josh go into Corey's room and tell him, and Corey would say something like, "All right, but like I get it. Just like give me a pole wrestle," and then Josh wouldn't give him a pole wrestle, and then that would just like make Corey even more upset about it. And so it definitely adds like more drama to it. You also could go the route of, I think this was Battle of the Seasons where they had the same rotating eliminations, but it was like you couldn't do one until they were all taken. So
Mm-hmm.
like the 4th elimination, there'd be no decision. Like it would be whatever was left, and then you start re-rotating. So I think you could do it that way as well. Um, I think they don't do that a lot. I don't Probably haven't done that in like a decade plus, but it is good because it does like add it adds more drama to it. And like if the eliminations are good, which everything that Invitational was, like if we see 2 hall brawls in a row, we're not saying, oh, we're tired of hall brawls.
No.
Like they're both going to be good.
So just a thought. So, all right. So let's talk about Brad versus Corey. Corey beats Brad. And essentially, like, I feel like the final score was what, 4-3?
Yeah.
Which pretty close game. Brad throwing Randy Johnson, throwing 105, and Corey was more strategic with it. But a pretty straightforward game, nothing too crazy. I think this was like these type of eliminations, anybody can win. I think whoever kind of gets that rhythm. I'm surprised only like 4 was the highest. Like I feel like I don't know. Corey was like, I played basketball, I know what I'm doing, but only made 4 passes out of like 60. So like,
Yeah.
was he that good? Um, I don't know.
It was interesting because you kind of got a glimpse into some of their strategies, um, just in terms of throwing the balls. Because I feel like, what do you think, like size wise, of the balls? Because it seemed like the big balls were the ones that were catching the spikes more, which makes sense because they're bigger. But it also seemed like they were the harder ones to throw. But then you also saw a lot of shots of like the people picking up the smaller balls that were kind of more like shaped like dodgeballs that you could maybe throw with one hand more easily. They're lighter, but
Mhm.
then like you have to be a little bit more accurate with it. So there definitely was like varying ball sizes. I also think strategy wise, I don't know if anybody really did this, or I'm sure they did, but the way they edited it made it seem like the opposite. Um, I feel like they just should have picked a side and stayed there. I think Jordan was kind of telling John A to do that for the girls, but just like they feel like they were wasting a lot of energy going back and forth. Um, and just like stick on one side, find like the 2 spikes that are closest to you, and just like throw every single ball at those 2.
Yeah, I don't understand why that didn't happen. I feel like that was such an easy thing to do, but um, I don't know. So Brad goes home, and once
What do you
Brad
think?
goes,
What do you think about the Brad montage?
I mean, the Brad montage was awesome. That clip of him in the truck was incredible. I
I
mean,
mean, he loves the challenge.
Brad's a lunatic. God, what's crazy, and I think you brought it up a few episodes ago, is um, he people forget he was trying. He wasn't trying. He got with and dated for a while Brittany, and then he started dating Emily. I mean, that's like season 14 versus season 30. Like, it's absurd.
Oh, that is nuts. I
God.
like Brad.
He stinks.
That whole era stinks.
God, I know. I do feel bad. But
Well, I wonder. I don't have this, so it's not a trivia question. I wonder what Corey's last elimination win was. They flashed to him losing to somebody named Logan.
okay, that
What the hell was that?
that never happened, right? I think I texted you when that happened. I said, "Is that Asaph?" And then literally they cut to him and it says Logan. I'm like, "Who? We had a Logan on the
I
show?"
mean, we had to have fucking recapped that episode. Were we just like miserable doing that?
God, that was my brain is mumbo jumbo esque.
Oh my
Like
god.
I don't remember that. Those, you know, I see Tommy Tsunami said, "Oh, that montage had me in the feels." When I saw that, it was like I just felt like it was like one of those moments where everything stops in real time, and it was just like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Like it was like creeping back into me. It was like what's the movie called? Like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban or something. Like the Dementors, like where they suck the soul out of you. Like I think the lights were flickering in my apartment. Like it just I was like, get it off, get it off, get it off, get it off. And then I just did like expecto patronum.
Just back to 40, back to 40.
Back to 40, back to 40, back to 40. So, yeah, I was very nervous there. Sketchy,
That
sketchy.
was absurd.
Yeah. So, like we said, Corey beats Brad. And then we go into John A versus Rachel, which I think this one wasn't even really close. Rachel kind of just dominated, which I actually thought John A was going to win.
Really?
She's a two-time challenge champ.
Oh, come on.
There is nothing more. They're like seriously. I get so pissed off when I hear these people say they're challenge champs from like the Challenge USA or what did she win All Stars? Like those seasons don't count. Come on.
She won 2 All-Stars.
No, stop it. Don't stop.
Forget that.
God, just so bad. But it was just. Rachel's pretty good. I'll give it to her. She's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a classic this was classic old school versus new school. Like
Mm.
Rachel is still a good competitor. She's in good shape, but like she is era 1. She is probably the oldest girl on the show right now. And John A is like a classic, era 3. She's done a couple, spin-offs. She's won a couple eliminations back in the day, but like always been like a middle of the road competitor, but like she's probably closer to her prime, whatever you want to say her prime is, than Rachel is. But like Rachel is just better. And she's like better at winning elimination. She's more experienced. She's better at like random shit like this. And like I thought Rachel was gonna win this. And thankfully she did because now her team is 4 people instead of 3. So John A is going home. I don't personally think we're losing a lot with John A. I think she's like a happy person to have on the show. She doesn't bring a lot of negativity, but she also just doesn't. I mean, this season she didn't bring any storylines besides being deathly afraid of elimination, and rightfully so.
I just think one of the worst things about her, and it's not necessarily her fault, it's more of BME's fault. The foreshadowing of this was just so bad. It literally shined through last episode
Yeah,
and maybe even the episode before that, where she didn't volunteer. And then they're like making it such a big deal. And then obviously she wasn't going to volunteer. She gets chosen anyway. And then here we are tonight. So the foreshadowing, surely we've never seen BME foreshadowing. I'm surprised the episode wasn't just labeled John A goes home tonight. So
farewell.
farewell. Yeah, farewell, John A. That's a good one. So yes, we said the 2 eliminations. So then Corey and Rachel got to choose the new targets, which era 1 was Tina and Darrell. Era 2 is the Niedermeister and Aviv. Era 3, Jordan and Naya, and era 4, Kylan and Michelle. So what do we think about those targets?
I feel like era 1 was pretty straightforward. Era 2 Um, I'm upset that Rachel picked Nehemiah just because Nehemiah and Bananas have now been alternating for the past like 4 episodes. Derek hasn't been nominated once. He was the captain the first week when they didn't know what was happening, and Ryan was in the invitational. So like both of those two guys have just like skated by.
Yeah.
So that just like kind of like low key pisses me off. Era 3, I guess it makes sense with the rotation, although Avery has kind of skated by, although I guess Naya's elimination was before that. And then Era 4, Michelle finally getting nominated. She was going into this episode the only person that hadn't been a target yet.
So it's just Ryan now is the only person that has not been a target yet, correct? Has Devin?
Devin's been a target.
Okay.
He was with the target with Tori.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think so. Because it hadn't been a target, but also hadn't been an elimination.
Correct. Okay.
So yeah, Michelle is now a target, so I think that makes sense. I was also surprised Kylan nominated himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like Theo hasn't been a target yet, and I know he went into the first elimination. But I don't know why people are still like putting weight into those first couple episodes. Like same thing for like Ryan going into the first elimination. Yeah, so it's just it's weird.
Tommy Tsunami is right. Casey has not been a target yet.
I think she has.
Oh, got a good old standoff. What episode?
I think she was with Kylan.
Like the first episode?
The very first one. So yeah, so they were technically targets, but they didn't know the target twist at the time.
Okay.
They were the
first captains.
Yeah, they were nominated. But aside from that, it's been like Ginny and Olivia and Ginny.
Let me do a quick little rapid fire with you. And I kind of want to do this at the end of every episode now with targets. I'm going to go through each era's winners, and you tell me, or each target, excuse me, and you tell me who they're saving. We're not going to say a last place team. Who is their best alliance with? So I'm going to say like Tina and Darrell. Out of the other three targets, who are they saving?
So Tina and Darrell are the targets for Era 1.
Yep. So you can either save Era 2, which is Niedermeister, Aviv. Era 3 is Jordan and Naya. And Era 4 is Kylan and Michelle. Who do you think they're going to save?
I guess I would say Era 2.
I agree.
I don't think they're super close to anybody, but I'd say Era 2.
Era 2, Nehemiah and Aviv. Who do you think they would save?
I think they would probably save Era 1.
Okay. So are you saying Jordan and Naya saves Era 4 and Era 4 saves Era 3? Are we drawing the line? Jordan and Naya, who would they save?
Based on these targets, I would say yes.
Okay.
I think if like Bananas was in there, then maybe it's a little different. But I feel like for this, I would say, yeah, it's 1, 2, then 3, 4.
Let me ask you this. Next week, if we get a Jordan versus Kylan matchup and a Naya versus Michelle, does this kind of blow up the game?
In what way?
Chaos?
That was last season.
Like, I'm serious. Like, a Jordan versus Kylan matchup hurts both eras, whoever loses, obviously, on both ends. Like,
but how does it hurt how does it hurt the era that wins?
Because now you're having friction between Era 3 and Era 4.
No, you wouldn't. Because if Era 3 goes against
last place. 4, yeah.
One of them would be last place.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's almost like best case scenario for them.
Come on.
So right. So real quick, so Era 4 is now Team Road Rules. They're classifying it as. And Era 4 is down to 4 people. Era 2 is at 7 people.
Yeah.
Still. Era 3 lost John A, so they're down to 6. And then Era 4 is still at 7. Right? So it's 4, 7, 6, 7.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. All right. Let's move into some segments. What do we got?
All right. First segment tonight is going to be this day in challenge history. The first one is going to be War of the Worlds 2. And I had to bring this up. The episode title on September 25th was In Polly We Trust.
Come on.
And so just a quick trivia question here.
I hate this season, so there's no chance I get this. I hate this season.
On War of the Worlds 2, what was the one-on-one elimination outcome? And it involves two people on this season. Two people on this season who are both still on this season. Do you want another hint?
No, give me a second. I think
War of the Worlds 2 elimination.
I'm confusing myself if it's a guy or girl, and I'm leaning towards a girl, but I'm running out of people. I think
Mikey the Doctor got it.
oh, Theo beat Bananas? Is
Theo
that the
beat
cage?
Bananas.
Is that the cage one?
Yeah, they were locked in a cage.
God.
Oh, Jordan and Josh is a good guess because I guess they're both still on this season as well.
Still one of the craziest things ever. Jordan beating Josh and
Tug
Tug
of rope.
He's got one hand.
Didn't we mention that on our Legends tour?
Yes.
All right, next this
Abu, Mikey the Doc. Where's Boogie?
He think he boogied on out.
Okay, you can't use that against me.
Where's Mitos?
Who?
All right, this is not a trivia question. I just had to bring it up because this was the finale of Rivals 2 11 years ago. Do you remember the episode title?
Of Rivals 2 finale?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
The Island of Misfit Challengers.
Oh, come on.
I swear to God.
That's awesome.
So yeah, 11 years ago, Rivals 2 wrapped up.
Love that.
That's all I got. Should we do Radar Watch?
Oh, yeah. I think I love me some Radar Watch.
Should we each think of one pick?
I mean, I think we both count down from 3. We're thinking of the same person. So can we just knock that one out first? I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, go, and on go after go we're gonna do it.
So it's like a 5 count. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Say their name.
Okay.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Theo.
Yeah. There we go.
Theo was gone this episode. I didn't even see him.
Theo is very Radar Watchy.
God. All right. So Theo would be the group's choice. And I guess since Andy's not here, that can be us. But let's think of somebody else that wasn't on.
What about Avery?
I think Avery's a great pick as well. Yeah, dude. Avery has been very not in the spotlight.
And what I have kind of noticed about her is that, besides a couple things, is that she is like in the background of a lot of scenes. Like that scene we were talking about before where someone was sitting in the window. Avery was there. She was on the couch, like not in the conversation, but like right there with the group. And so she is like a social person. She's like, in the like hanging out with people, but she's not like in any of the show drama. She hasn't been, nominated since like episode 3 or whatever. So she's like flown very far under the radar lately.
Yeah. That's a great pick. I think I'm gonna go. There's 2 girls that I'm leaning towards. And I guess I'll just say them both. But I'm gonna pick, Mikey the Doctor just took both of them. God damn it. Aviv and Casey were both the people I'm thinking of. Aviv obviously gets voted tonight. Has Casey had a confessional this season, or is she still in the HBO house with Kenny?
Well, Casey actually pissed me off with a confessional tonight when she was fucking dogging Ginny for like 2 straight minutes. Do you remember that?
No, I I don't. I'm so used to her like just recapping the rules, and that's kind of like a part where I like go to the bathroom or something. So like,
It was early in the episode. It was when I think they were having the Era 4 meeting, and Casey was almost like laughing at the fact that Jenny was mad, and she was like, all Jenny talks about is working out and her
oh
plant
yes,
and all
yeah,
of this, and it
yeah.
was like, what the fuck? And then someone else, not Casey, but someone else called Casey like the best girl on their team, and it's like Ginny is a fucking machine. Casey has never won the challenge, and I mean that I think that's why Casey hates Ginny so much is because she's jealous of her because Ginny fucking beat her ass on Total Madness, and Casey hasn't won since. She was partnered with that dickhead from University of Tennessee, but like she hasn't won anything noticeable on the challenge,
No.
and just like fuck Casey. So that's
Whoa.
why I could not give her my radar watch tonight just because I was too fired up about it. But
F you?
it kind of just pissed me off, Chattanooga.
Oh, come on. All right. Is it time? MVP, LVP time?
I think it's time.
I think it's time as well. MVP, LVP time. You guys know what to do in the chat. First response we get will be the MVP, LVP order of tonight's EP. This is kind of going to be an interesting one. I don't have any picks right now, so I'm going straight off the rails. Um,
Same here.
I don't really know who I'm going to go with. Mikey the Doctor's first, and of course he puts the pressure on me for Trev Alex. My MVP tonight. My MVP tonight is going to be Bananas.
Fuck.
The fact that he got out of tonight's elimination with Laurel as a partner is literally, there's only one word to describe that, and it's bananas. Like, seriously. Like, how is that even possible? How? Like, you literally have somebody who has blown up the house, literally screams at everybody. It's the easiest throwaway vote of all time. And you're the puppet master. I mean, and not to mention, you've won the challenge how many times? Like, come on. Like, come on. What are we doing? Like, he made Josh look so stupid, friend of the program. But, like, I just don't get it. I really don't get it, but I love it. It's literally the best way to describe Banana's performance tonight is a simple thing. Let me pull it up real quick. This is Bananas tonight. This is Bananas. Literally. Fuck. I wanted to start from the beginning. This is Bananas. Like, how is this? It's like, what's the scene? Is it from Breaking Bad? He keeps getting away with this. Like, it's literally that scene. It's unbelievable. So,
That's a great pick. I mean, that's where I was gonna go. It's always a great sign when someone like Bananas had probably the most influence on tonight's episode, but he didn't win the daily and he didn't win the elimination. He was just kind of there and he was just kind of like, calling the shots. Um, so I think Bananas is a great pick. I'm kind of struggling for even a backup on this episode.
I know it's kind of tough.
Um, all right, I'm gonna go with this pick. I don't know if anybody's picked it this season. Maybe it'll come up again. I don't know.
God.
I'm gonna go with nostalgia.
Oh, interesting.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go with nostalgia just from they showed flashbacks of Brad, they showed flashbacks of Rachel. They also this is kind of like a tack on to the streak. It's not part of the streak to start the episode, but at the beginning of every episode, they've done this like they show the house and then they show like the little picture frames, but then they show like a flashback of like an actual challenge moment. And I think this episode it was the T-Bone elimination on Rivals, maybe, or at least like the start of it. Last week, I can't remember what it was, but like last episode, they were showing Kara and Laurel flashbacks and all of that. They showed Wes with like pouring the soda on Kara, all of that. I know that was last week, but like we got more flashbacks tonight, And I just think in theme with season 40 and like just being a good season that is all about, honoring past challengers and all of that. I'm just going to go with nostalgia because I think that's been like an important theme for the season. And I felt it tonight.
Yeah, good pick. LVP, who you got?
My LVP for tonight's episode. I'm going to go with John A.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go again. I don't have a lot of picks for tonight, honestly, but I think I picked her last week. I'm gonna go with her again, um, just because she kind of let everything happen the way we were expecting it to happen. Like from the start of last episode, we could have like predicted, okay, John A is freaking out about being a target. That means she's probably going to end up being the target and being mad about it. And then she's going to be so mad about it that like she's going to get distracted and go home. And that is what happened over the course of 2 episodes.
Yep.
And she didn't do anything to change that. She didn't do anything to overcome that or upset her opponent. Nothing. And again, like John A seems like a good person. She wasn't like a bad energy on the show or anything. She just like when I think about, maybe the Who of the Year on the season recap, like John A just did not bring a lot to the show. So I'm just going to go with John A.
Good pick. I mean, like you said, like the foreshadowing of her just so bad. And it made me who gave her an LVP last? Was it you or was it Andy
I
last
think it
week?
was me.
Yeah, somebody definitely gave her an LVP, and it was because she was just like annoying about it. And here we are, you know?
Yeah.
So GG's. The show goes on. And yeah, here we are. LVP for me tonight. There's a lot of different directions I feel like I could go. I could do an easy layup of Andy as an LVP, but I'm not going to do that tonight. Um, he's filming Fresh Meat 3 out in Italy, according to some people. But my LVP tonight is going to be Balloon Fest. I think there was that whole daily, way too many balloons, the popping, the rules. I mean, what are we doing? Just make it point A to point B. It's just too confusing, and it's even worse when you're trying to follow it on TV. So it's probably the worst balloon fest I've ever seen. Probably the worst tragedy in a balloon fest that I've ever seen. So I'll
So
leave it at
your
that.
LVP is Balloon Fest.
Yes.
Okay. Any honorable mentions? I was thinking for LVP Era 1, just because they've been terrible.
Good pick.
And then for MVP, I almost said Spiky Things. Just because Spiky Things were part of the daily and
Everything.
edition. Yeah.
Yes. That's good. I like that. Um Honestly, LVP us for not seeing Josh cry enough this season. He's been very low this season. And I mean, he's been on this is episode 6,
Yeah, I guess.
but
I think we're due.
I think we are
I feel
too.
like there was a lot of people this episode, like Josh, Devin, Michelle, that were like close to being like you could make a case for MVP or LVP, but like because you could make a case for both of them, like you couldn't make a super strong case for them.
I got a great honorable mention LVP. Um just one of the worst things ever said on the challenge. And I wish we would have brought this up. Honorable mention to LVP, Chicago. I mean, come on. Like, what was Brad saying? Like, oh, look at that skyline. Reminds me of Chicago. I mean, there's one building. It doesn't look like Chicago at all.
Well, it was the tallest building in Vietnam, according to Derek.
Yeah,
Derek, the Vietnam architecture expert, who just
yeah.
broke his leg, by the way.
The tallest building in America is not even in Chicago, right? It's in New York now. It's the World Trade Center. Like, what are we doing?
They're idiots.
God, so classic.
I
But
was uh I was thinking about going. I think I gave this person an MVP probably like 6 years ago. And her name was actually mentioned on tonight's episode, probably for the first time since then. Ryder.
oh, come on.
I think Ryder has an MVP, so I almost gave her second one.
God. Hey, wait. Corey has children?
Yeah, apparently
I
he's
had no idea.
that's who he's playing for.
Had no idea that. All right. Anything else from tonight's episode?
Um, I feel like we covered a lot while also going off the rails a lot. I feel like this was a good episode. Anything from the previews? It seemed like it was a Heights Daily, Bananas versus Ryan, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into that, but
We're still riding strong for this season. At least
yeah,
two of us are.
yeah. There's no better podcast going back to the old days, the BMFEP era. Me and my pal Alex. I love doing these pods with him. So here we are. So thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod podcast. Shove in your host, Trevor. You can follow us on Twitter at Stir the Pod. You can follow us on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Thank you guys.